Welcome to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment Series, a YouTube channel dedicated almost exclusively to showing huge battles and the advanced use of tactics to win very big battles, sometimes lopsided battles. So in this instance here, I was heading to defend one of my castles with a reasonably large army, even though I was outnumbered, but then another large army appeared on sight for the enemies and really put me at a significant disadvantage. I have a little over 1,100 troops and it looks like they're going to have almost 3,000. So I'm used to this by now, so we head right on in. No guts, no glory here, right? And one big advantage again, anytime you're attacking an attacker of a siege here, you can bail. If you're getting your ass kicked or if the AI puts you in a terrible spot, you can always back out, right? So we're going in here and hoping we can pull out a victory. First I gotta do a little captain assignment here, see if there's any of my captains that are worthy. That's a beast of a leader of my 6th Corps there, and all the rest then get dumped on the 8th Corps, my elite division. So I'm fighting the Rohirrim. Oh my, I almost said the Rohirrim. I'm a big fan of the Lord of the Rings, but this is obviously not the Rohirrim. It sure feels like it. These are the Valandians. They might as well be the Rohirrim, though, for all intents and purposes. Right? This is a map just custom made for their kind of army. Usually, very, very many heavy cavalry, and of course, nothing to stop them from just running around at high speeds, skewering your guys. And you have no cover. So we're gonna have to take a little different tactical approach here if we're gonna have any chance. As you can see, outnumbered. Basically 2 to 1. Worse than that, they probably have, I'm estimating 300 or maybe 350 heavy cavalry with, reinforcements behind that. It looks like I have 50. So we're going to have to get creative here, and my plan right away was to use distractionary forces to try to isolate their cavalry and greatly reduce their forces. I have a prejudice to taking out enemy lords. Anytime you can, you want to drop enemy lords because not only are they stampeding on your troops when they get into your backfield, but a lot of them have high combat skills and will do a great deal of damage. Right? Prioritize taking out the enemy's greatest threats.
Form a shield wall.
So you see over there on the right flank, what I've done is I've positioned my 2nd Cavalry in a big, long, narrow shield wall, and their sole purpose there is exactly what they're doing. You see how well they're bottling up the cavalry? They stopped their charge, killed their momentum, and now they're easy prey, right? In fact, they're getting out of here even though they outnumber us heavily on that side, right? I've got archers pounding them with arrows. It's a very, very strong, simple tactic to use against the Valandians or any other force with lots of cavalry. Right? Use a long, narrow cavalry wall, shield wall formation, and at a minimum, it feels like you've got, a big metal shield on that side of the flank. In the middle here, you can probably see I'm using the 1st Corps Infantry Corps. It's one of my strongest infantry corps in a square. Right? These guys are going to be essentially a combination of bait, but also an anchor of strength in the middle of the battle. Right? Beyond that, I'm spreading out my infantry divisions, my archery divisions. I have the 4th, 5th, and effectively the 8th are all archer divisions. They're archer heavy. By the way, drop lords horses, and they're easy pickings. So I've got infantry kind of playing a distractionary role here. My skirmishers are on the right flank. I've got some cavalry sort of skirmishing. Eventually, I plan on using my 3rd Cavalry, my defensive cavalry, also in a square. We'll be moving them up and hopefully taking a lot of the enemy, the brunt of the enemy attack, while the rest of my attacking troops that don't have as much armor and shields can lay waste to their heavy cavalry. All right, so we're spreading our archers in a wide arc here around the enemy. Even when I'm outnumbered, unless I'm hugely outnumbered, I like to spread out my archers kind of in a C shape around the enemy. And what that does is it gives you multiple opportunities to shoot guys where they don't have a shield up, right? In the military or from a tactical perspective, we call that enfilade fire. Flanking is an easier word for most people. You're basically just shooting at somebody on their side, and of course they're not encased in shields. They usually just have a shield facing forward. Alright, so you can now see my 3rd Cavalry and 1st Infantry are both in squares with this C-shaped formation. And again, my 2nd Cavalry now is directly in front of my 8th Corps, and their sole purpose, besides sort of distracting the enemy, is to slow down their attack, right? These infantry are sort of trickling through. Then I can use my 8th Corps to annihilate them. You give them the charge call here. We'll take care of this little infantry charge first. You have to prioritize when an enemy's making an aggressive attack. Even if you have a plan, you need to handle business when the enemy makes their move, right? It's a little bit like chess. Even if you have a plan, for some dramatic strategic move later on, if the enemy makes a move that threatens you, you need to deal with that first, right? So we're massacring their sad infantry charge here. They had no idea what was about to happen to them. Now they're running. Obviously kill fleeing troops with prejudice, right? We don't need them reforming their lines. Let's put all their bodies on the field right here. Demoralize the enemy as well. Now there's actually not a whole lot of other movement going on. I've got my archers again spread out in a big C. The 2nd Cavalry is still guarding there. Oh, so this is a situation. I have no cover, right? Well, except this horse. All these cavalry are coming in. You can just use the horse that's standing there like your only tree out in the wilderness. As soon as the threat's passed, right, then you start to lay waste. That can be used over and over again against cavalry. Trees are better, but a horse does just fine. Right? Just crouch behind a horse and wait for it to pass. It's a little bit like being in the ocean. Those that are familiar with being in the ocean, if you're out there surfing or just enjoying the waves, when big waves come crashing up, you just duck down into the water and the wave goes by and you have a good time. You don't take any damage. Alright, so the enemy has totally changed their tactics here after their cavalry has been decimated. They are, from a morale standpoint, a real army would be shaken at this stage, right? Their hopes for victory are starting to slip away. Things have happened to them they didn't anticipate, and so at least the AI here for the game is changing tactics. They're forming a huge infantry block guarding a large archer division, and they're still sending their cavalry out to skirmish, right? God, I love flying horses. Right, so we'll continue to spar with their cavalry, right? We're out of ammunition here, or low on ammunition. Got one more shot in. But that infantry block they have has a weakness, right? It's primarily facing forward, so we're going to enlarge is that a word? We're going to enlarge our archery C here, right? We're going to spread them far to the sides. Now they are exposed to arrows. You can see their heavy block of archers are firing away. It's actually a decent job by the AI. When an opponent's getting their asses kicked, it adjusted pretty well. It might have done so a little late, but how could it know it was going to get totally massacred? Right? It outnumbers us 2-1. Right, so now I've changed tactics a little bit. I no longer have the squares out in the middle. The infantry's onto the side. The 1st Infantry, I should say, and the 6th Infantry is now guarding this right flank. Right? You can see the 2nd Cavalry still out there, completely shielding my 8th Corps. The 8th Corps is just having a sandwich, right? Getting some water before they kill some more of the enemy, right? These guys are veterans of killing the enemy. I imagine for them this is like delivering the mail. Right? This is just an ordinary day in the battlefield where a force twice their size looks to be getting destroyed. Right? Alright, so we continue to make our C formation larger. I won't use enlargement anymore here. I'll spare you the brutal grammar. The enemy is continuing to hold their form there. They're getting some kills with their cavalry. In fact, it looks like this noblewoman is rampaging through. She must have really high charging skills. I see her killing like 2 or 3 enemies at a time. There she is. So when I get a chance, I'm taking that wench out. We all make mistakes. This is a classic mistake. I don't know if I fumbled this in the battle. I actually remember it happening twice. My 4th Archer Corps, which is supposed to be all the way on the other side of the battlefield, is getting lit up with archery fire, crossbow fire, because for some reason they keep following me. I was pretty sure I had them put way out there on that right side, but for whatever reason I must have been fumbling a button or something else. Right? We all make mistakes. In this case, this is a pretty bad mistake, right? Because this unprotected Archer Corps it looks like they're down to about half strength. Yeah, worth it to risk barreling into their troops to kill that bitch. Alright, so first corps right there. They're guarding the right flank. I can hopefully finally get these disobedient 4th archers over there on that side. We're moving the 5th archers in. Eventually here, this is going to be a collapsing net attack, right? We're going to converge on at least 3 sides, hopefully 4, if I can get the cavalry behind them, and the massacre will commence. I can't just charge quite yet. They've got a lot of archers and way more troops than I do, frankly. I mean, they have a huge block of infantry and archers, right? So we're closing in the net, 2nd Cavalry behind them, and I charge with the 8th Corps. Look at these guys. These guys are caffeinated. They got Red Bulls. They're ready to kill, right? I either charge them or I will manually shove them like in a big, spread formation deep into the enemy's ranks. And you'll take casualties when you do that, of course, because guys are literally running amongst the enemy's swords. But the effect of that, though, is these guys just pour right into the enemy, right? Most of my guys are much faster than enemy troops. I get in a little bit of trouble here. Look at them roar up, right? And most of them have elite combat skills, right? So even Battanian Fiend champs have just no chance, right? Look at the green spam. So once this group is in, it's full massacre. You send people to charge. Everybody at this stage is charging, even the archers, right? I want every single sword into the kidney of this enemy. Enemy lord down. I mean, you can see it's just a massacre. All green spam. Now I'm looking for reinforcements because that entire garrison, that entire division just got annihilated. It's putting them off to the side here. So we're resetting, right? We don't need to just continue with F1, F3 charge. You can do that at this stage, but we're going to be a little bit more surgical, a little bit more savage, a little bit more precise here, right? So spreading out my infantry lines in front, shield wall. I called the 2nd Cavalry over to the right flank because eventually they will be flanking. Mind these light cavalry are just... These guys are like that white guy that got dunked on by Michael Jordan, like in every single poster. These guys are just here to make my character look like a badass. Use my guy to block, and yeah, they're messing. Alright, so archers are still raining arrows on these guys, right? We might as well soften them up even though they're lighter level troops. They're starting to rush, so everybody but the archers here now gets sent in, right? And we're just going to steamroller this whole weak corps. We've killed their 700 or 800 elite troops. They're down to middle tier guys. It's time to get aggressive, right? So in we go. Archers are still firing, right? We'll keep them back. No reason to send them in yet. But you can see it's just a green wall of death. Like the enemies, they got a few kills there on a cavalry charge, but for the most part, this is going extremely well. So my health is kind of low. I'm going to take to horse here. As long as you stick to the flanks, the sides of the battle with your horses, and sort of make hit and run attacks, pretty safe, right? I have a hard time doing that. I'm trying to do this more and more in battle so that I survive. If I get knocked unconscious at this stage in the battle, the AI takes over, everybody gives a collective yawn, and you don't really learn anything, right? So this battle is kind of over. My forces are totally on the offensive, but I'm going to drag a cavalry corps behind me in wedge position just to sort of finish them off, right? The enemy has a morale. The morale system for Bannerlord, basically the more guys get killed of the enemy, their morale starts to get shattered. And you can think of fights a little bit like a boxing match. Anybody who's seen any Mike Tyson, if you're young and you've never heard of Mike Tyson, I encourage you to go watch like this epic run in the mid-'80s. When the enemy's on the ropes, you go in for the kill. You're going kind of recklessly, and in this case, their morale is on the ropes. So we're just dragging our 2nd Cavalry right through here in a vicious final last charge. We're trying to effectively knock this army out. We don't want their morale because of reinforcements or kills or whatever reason coming back. We want them to just leave, right? We've had moderate losses, maybe even minor losses, but we don't need them to turn and cause even more unnecessary losses. Any enemy that runs is effectively a dead enemy, right? Their forces are taken prisoner, and your forces they get to retire to the tavern wench and ale and whatever else not they ate back in the day. And that's it, right? I mean, that last final savage series of strikes by our Mike Tyson-like army here has brought the ref in. They have tapped out. The match is over, and despite being significantly outnumbered and in the enemy's best possible tactical terrain, this is a resounding victory. I hope you've enjoyed. We'll be doing a series of these YouTube videos. That was kind of a quick battle. That was like the quickie. All you single guys are familiar with quickies. This was, I don't know, okay, they're a 12-minute battle against almost 3,000 troops. This is highly unusual. I also didn't do a lot of fighting. I'm trying to focus more on tactics because I understand that people coming to this channel, people that are wanting to play Bannerlord, they're not going to have a beast of a character like me. They're going to want to know more about how to improve their tactics. Okay, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment, ask questions. I've got almost 30 years of studying war. I've been enamored with war from a young age. I've studied an obscene amount, probably like an obsessive amount of war. Like I know enough about Napoleon and the Napoleonic Wars to basically give a 3-month college lecture. So I'll be adding in historical context as well, but mostly just tactics to help you win battles in your own game. All right. Well, thanks again, and again, please leave a critique if you can't hear something, or it's too loud, or I'm speaking too fast or too slow. I doubt that's the case. But whatever it is, please leave your comments. Even if you want to, leave some negative criticism. I'm a very confident, older, ex-military guy. I can handle it. So, thanks again for watching. Catch you next time.